Welcome. Today I speak to Tery Shinndu, Senior Director of People and Culture at Village Enterprise, a nonprofit organization that works to end extreme poverty in rural Africa through entrepreneurship and innovation. That's not an easy task, Tery, and welcome. I want to
Thank
start
you.
by asking you, how do you stay motivated?
Thank you, Amnia. And just to add that it's ending extreme poverty in rural Africa through innovation, entrepreneurship, and collective action.
Wow.
So it is a collective action. We work with people, we work with donors, we work with communities, we work with the government, and because we know we cannot do it by ourselves.
Right.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Omnia, for having me.
Of course, and it's just I wonder, there are a lot of stakeholders here. So how do you manage all of these people, the process of actually dealing with all these stakeholders?
Mhm. Well, being a large organization and really, we have staff at different levels, but really at my level as a senior director of people and culture, my main client is the staff or the employees within the organization. And really, and because they are spread across different countries, we're in Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Rwanda, the US, and growing. So we find a way. We have found ways to work together, to collaborate, to work. We work a lot virtually. Besides being able to go out to the field, to the communities, and get to interact with the people that we serve, the entrepreneurs, which is an amazing experience. But really, it's about teamwork. It's about having those communication channels open, being accessible, whether it's via Slack channels where you can send, communications, feedback, pictures of what's going on the ground. Yes. So we have found various ways to work across and really get the team together. Yeah.
I do want to ask you a lot about purpose-driven employees, etc. But before that, I would like to ask about working together in different geographies. And the reason is that there are people who live in the same country. I still believe that people have to come to the office rather than same time zone, same city, everything. And they would be like, no, you have to come to the office. No, you have to come to the office. Is there a cost for this? Of course there is, but other than an actual cost, but is there a mental cost that you have seen that if someone comes into the office would cost an organization? What's the benefit of giving this kind of freedom, like work where you can and just communicate with us good?
Yes, I mean, as you clearly say, you will find, especially within the corporate, there are certain offices, organizations, you have to go to the office. But now, since we are focused on the nonprofit, you will find that sometimes when you push employees so much and don't give that opportunity, for a hybrid workplace where they could either come to the office or work virtually, there's a stress that comes with it. The stress that comes with commuting, the stress that comes with you have certain personal issues that you'd like to attend to, but then you take too much time on the road because obviously we all don't live around where the office is. So you will find that some people will take about 2 hours in the morning commuting, and then you have to take another 2 hours commuting after work. And that's really stressful, being in the traffic and trying to manage, that. So definitely there's a cost to it. Mental health, is a big aspect now. And then also the ability to provide that work-life, integration or balance, being able to just ensure that the workplace has the psychological safety, but also that the employee is able to actually meet what they want to do at the end of the day within that workspace. Do they have everything that they need? Yeah.
I do want to tap on that specifically, and that's where we get into the purpose driven, is
Mhm.
that you force people to come to the office and rather than
Mhm.
actually have kind of flexibility. That affects, I think, at least for me, that affects my creativity. And then wouldn't that affect what they're trying to achieve actually? Um, do you think part of why your employees being driven in your organization is actually the flexibility of where they could be?
Uh, yes, it has a big part of it. The fact that my employer gives me the flexibility to work from anywhere, I have the peace of mind that I can still deliver. And so there are not these boundaries that you have to work, you have to be in the office from 8 to 5. No, probably I get inspired and creative early hours of the morning at 5 a.m., you know? So it gives me the flexibility to be able to work during my most productive hours, which is a benefit to the organization because we are not sort of time bound, like you have to deliver between 8 and 5. And you will find some people are very good in the, they're very productive in the afternoon, but in the morning, they're a bit of a drag. Or you will find that others are very productive in the morning, but when you get to 2 p.m., they're kind of off. So having that flexibility gives you the actually the power to give the organization your best hours. You can actually give the organization your best hours when you're most productive, you're raring to go, you have the best, because you have an environment where you can work without feeling constrained about time. And so that really is a value add for the organization. When the employees have peace of mind, you can use your most productive hours to do the most intense work. And you will find that really it's the effort and the impact at the end of the day that you're making as an employee.
So, to continue, how does, and I'm not talking about the culture of the organization, but I'm talking about the person's culture. How does it affect what style of work will they decide over? Is there a research on this, or it's just, does culture affect at all? Like people in Uganda, their culture, the way they behave is completely than people in Kenya or the US, and based on that, they're going to decide whether to go to the office or not.
Well, I think there's a certain, I haven't checked whether there's research about it, but there are different cultural, we have different culture, you
Yeah.
know, uh, across the different countries. But I think what brings us together is the vision of the organization. You talked about being purpose driven, and one of the greatest things or the biggest aspect of our organization, out of the data we have collected, out of the employee engagement surveys we have done, the number one thing that drives the employees or most staff in our organization is the mission and vision that we have. And so irrespective of the culture that you there's this joke that goes around that in Uganda, when it rains, then employees don't go to the office, and it's really common, But there's that bit about our vision when we talk about Ubuntu and passion that really drives us, and that collective effort we have towards our entrepreneurs to see them succeed and get out of extreme poverty. So that's really what drives us. And that is what I have seen in the 5+ years I've worked in this organization, that employees are really passionate about our entrepreneurs and the communities we work with. And because of that, culture does not get in the way. You will find that somebody is leaving their house at 6 a.m. in the morning to go see that community member or that group that they needed to visit. So it's really about the vision and what brings us together. And yes, sometimes those personal, how do I put it? There are those personal preferences that may come in the way sometimes. But when you have a purpose-driven staff, and they are very committed to the entrepreneurs to see them succeed, then that is what drives all the effort that we put into the work that we do, and really not our own personal biases or, cultures that could stand in the way. Yeah.
The work that your organization does is extremely difficult and it's quite demanding. How do
Yes.
you ensure that you're actually doing the work, but taking care of yourselves and your employees?
That's a very good question. Because yes, the work is very demanding. The work requires us to go sometimes into communities that are really inaccessible. I mean, the kind of pictures sometimes we get from our staff, how they are trying to walk through some flooded areas to get through, just to get to the entrepreneurs. It can be overwhelming. And so I think one way, some of the ways we support our staff is that we have provided we have very open communication channels. We ensure that there's dialogue, there's support, that if you need to take a break, you're overwhelmed, you feel that you're burnt out or you're burning out, we really have that open communication channel that you can reach out to your manager and ask and take the time off. But overall, as an organization, we have what we call a mental health week. And so this mental health week, we have it annually where the entire organization shuts down. We are not working. Nobody is checking email for the entire week. This is in addition to the usual, paid time off that we get. But this is just an additional week for people to take a break off work, relax mentally, physically, and just, recover. Let me put it that way. And this everyone in the entire organization does. Though another way is really that collaboration. We reach out. How are you doing? Do you need help? We provide support. We have, that collaboration and having supportive relationships at work, which you will find team members working together just to ensure that we are succeeding. And it's not, the burden is not on one individual, but it's our work, it's our success. And then we take time to celebrate. Many times we have this intense work. And I know in the corporate world, maybe they pay bonuses or something. But for us, in the nonprofit, we take time to celebrate. Every month we have an all-staff call where we are sharing experiences, we are giving shout outs, we are celebrating the amazing work that our colleagues are doing out in the field, and actually ensuring that everyone feels that they are supported. We also have a medical cover that provides for mental health or psychological support when you feel as an individual that this is too overwhelming. I have seen poverty the way I have never seen it before, and sometimes it can affect you as an individual. And so there's that bit where if you need psychological, support, you just need to talk to somebody, then that is open and that is provided for.
Right.
Yes.
How do you foster a sense of, you did speak now about a few examples, but how do you foster a sense of community and belonging among your team, especially that many of them are actually in different locations?
Mm-hmm. So as I mentioned, we have those all staff calls where we gather virtually as an entire organization just to catch up, focus on one area, maybe just to discuss what's going on. And that is a platform where people feel at least they are made aware of what's happening in the organization. New donors, new funding, new areas of working, just updates generally about the organization and where the organization is going. So those updates are provided on a monthly basis so that, and this came out of the question of, we are so spread geographically, and some of us feel that we don't know what's going on in the organization. And so we started this all staff calls last year, just to ensure that everyone in this is aware of where the organization is heading and what's going on in the organization. Besides that, we also have country meetings where staff gather together virtually, and sometimes different teams meet physically, either by weekly or by monthly, just to have that interaction. And because we feel the most important thing is that people are aware of what's going on in the organization. And that's where the gap has always been. And so when people are aware and they know the role that they are playing, that their job is important, that the work that they are putting in is important, and it's making a difference for the organization, then that has an effect, and then it makes us feel that all of us belong. And all this success, the numbers and everything that we are seeing, and the recognitions in different forums internationally, then we know every one of us, our role is adding value to the organization.
I imagine I did have my experience with not-for-profit, and I imagine that this is a very important part of it, is that feeling that you're actually adding value.
Oh, yes.
Is there, and that's my final question, but I just wanted to ask, why do people, from your experience, because you have had a lot of experience with not-for-profit, why do people continue with that when they can do a lot more money in the corporate world? Give me 3 reasons why would you continue doing that?
One is my personal values. I want to feel that my life is actually making a difference in the life of others. It really is aligned to that personal purpose. And you want, as you pursue your individual purpose, that you're feeling that you're making a difference in somebody else's lives, because our lives are not, we are not an island. We don't get to where we are for ourselves just to make money. You can have a lot of money, but you're not happy. And so secondly, it gives me joy knowing that somebody's life has been changed as a result of my work. Just to give an example, I've had an opportunity to go out to the field a few times and to interact with the communities where we serve. And just hearing the testimonies, the story that I could not afford a meal. I could not afford to take my children to school. Somebody's living in a house where it's falling apart. When it rains, it's raining inside the house. And you come 6 months later, that their story is different, that they have a roof over their head. As a result of our program, now they can afford to buy a proper roof, put a proper roof on their head. Their children are going to school. They can afford to get 2 meals a day. They're doing business and it's doing well. That is enough to get me, to wake up every day excited about my job. And so that value, that personal value, and the purpose, just being an individual who is purpose-driven, really drives me to really focus on the nonprofit. And finally, we are contributing to SDG 1, ending poverty. It may never, poverty is something that may never really come to an end. But the fact that we are making a difference in that 1 million lives have been transformed through our program, getting to 2 million, we are looking at 20 million by 2030. Just thinking about that audacious goal and knowing that my work is contributing to it helps me get up every morning to do it.
I see the light in you where you're speaking, so I get it. I do understand. It's exciting to have this part of your life where, like, yes, this is not just a job. This is my being and my purpose. Tery,
yes.
yeah, thank you very much. And it's lovely to have just a little bit of idea of what's happening in the not-for-profit. All the best. And I hope we did learn a little bit about how to make sure people are still on getting their work done, but motivated and excited and purpose-driven. And I hope people learn from your model into, how to make sure all this is happening and have a productive team. Thank you, Tery. It
Thank
was
you.
my pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Omni. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I hope at least one person that watches this is transformed to get to do more for, people living in extreme poverty or, people struggling out there. If that happens, then it has made the difference. Thank you so much for inviting me.